On this session, we're going to be continuing and looking at one of my new posts. And the post is looking at what is change management in project management. So we're going to try to understand how change is initiated, how it is managed, and how you realize the benefits of the change itself. Just to give a bit of narrative to this, change can be anything. And sometimes it's something you anticipate that you already know. From a human perspective, you're saying, okay, you're anticipating this change. It might be that you're planning your birthday, you already know this is coming, you need to put together the birthday plan, you need to get the birthday dress, you need to get the venue. All of that whole stuff can form the anticipatory part of it. Reactive might just be you might be driving down the road and you happen to get a call that one of your friends is doing her birthday or his birthday around the corner, and you just have to do a quick dash to just get, you know what, I know I was going somewhere else, but I think I can save on time and then attend this birthday and then move forward. So it can be anything that you've maybe planned for or not planned for. It might be incremental, maybe continuous improvement, because you want to ensure that you are, for instance, you want to make sure that you are up to date in terms of your skill set, and you're taking regular courses, and this can be over a period of time or a short period of time. It might even be strategic. You want to buy a new property in a different place. You've got different properties everywhere, but you just want to buy this particular property in Dubai because you know from an investor perspective that would help you. Or you want to buy a property in the US and you know that this is going to definitely boost your financial capacity. So it is something that you want to take on board. Now that's looking at it from an individual perspective. For an organizational perspective, sometimes they take on changes because of new regulations. It might be because somebody left the firm was very beneficial for the firm and they did not plan it. The person just resigned and they had to put in somebody to fill in. And while they're trying to put somebody else, the department have to make up with that gap of that person leaving. Again, it might be incremental, maybe in the form of continuous improvement. How they keep their tools and processes up to date. That can be an incremental process. It might be a strategic one because they've just recently bought a new business or they're trying to go through a merger. And they need to manage that change to make sure they're looking at everything that is required to get that change implemented and the value of the change is realized. A value, you can call it, or benefit. So with that being said, I'm just going to flip to PowerPoint so that we can look at an illustration and maybe that can give you much more understanding of what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to use Photizo as an example. So Photizo recently conducted a review of its people, process, and tools. And the findings have not been good. So they realized that there's a lot of deficiencies in the process, and the people have been complaining that the processes are not good, and the tools just makes the job even worse, that they're not enjoying it. The sales department have complained, the account department have complained. I mean, everybody's just off the roof saying what they feel, and the feedback has been really interesting. So I'm just going to try to put together just going to make up some values just to give us a bit of insight of what I'm trying to paint here. So let's just say HR department feedback. This is just a feedback session. Feedback data, retention, accounts department. Let me just add some more feedback regions again. Just add this one. Maybe one more. So just add one more here. I'll explain that in a moment. So take that count and put that in here and call this targets. Okay. So we've got retention, we've got HR, we've got sales. Let's add sales. Let's add contracts. Like I said, the feedback was from everyone. Let's add let's add fees account. These are people that raise the fees. Let's add our social media department because they're in charge of our socials. Okay, so we've got targets. So HR department, let's put the months. We conducted this research over a period of months, period of 4 months. Oh, April, then May. Yep, so we got that. So we got 4 months. So HR department in January, their overall score was 1. In February, 2, 1. Let's call this 3. Retention department, they did good. They kept us in business. Sales department did good, but not too good. Let's put 1 here, 2 here, 1, 2. Contracts department, yes, they were able to keep some of our contracts. They looked at reviews. They were feedback was good, so let's just give them a 3, all true. Fees department, not so good. They had some issues. They built some clients wrongly. Our social media pages did not really take our marketing strategy very importantly, so I'll give them a 1, all true. Accounts department again was not really ensuring that we're looking at retaining some of our clients, so we lost a lot of clients, so we give them a 1 again. Now the target overall for each department is supposed to be a 5. Oh, true. Now that is for the department. I'm just going to add one more target. So we call this target for twos. The effective utilization of each twos in the department is supposed to be a 5 as well. So we call them a 5. So now let's add one more column so we can have a good understanding. Now this column we're looking at departmental twos feedback, so DTF. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 1. So DTF will be scoring against this. It's called this department twos targets. Why this is just twos target? Yep. So departmental twos feedback has been 1, 2, 2, 1. Meanwhile, it's supposed to be 5, all true. Now this has been calculated over a period of 4 months. So let's go here and look at this. So call this here performance, people, process, and tools. Okay, so the target is supposed to be 5, so you can see how they have fared over 4 months. The only people that have come up a little bit has been contract, because like we said, they've really helped the business stay afloat. Without them, we would not have been where we are today. So this is the data we're looking at. This is the problem. We now have data to back up the problem. So now the CFO has now said, okay, cool, this is the problem we have. Our people, process, and tools are not performing to the targets that we want. So how do we fix the problem? So we're going to do a high level tier 1 plan to look at what we propose to fix the problem. So again, just going to quickly do this. Let's use this one. Again, I like a bit of color. So for our resource issue, we are planning to recruit 300 persons across 50 departments. That should give us 6. Again, if I'm wrong, please help me. Guys in the comments, just put that in if I'm wrong. Now, that's to help our resourcing issue. Now, to help with the process issue, we have decided to recruit a process improvement director that will be looking over how we make sure feedback is being taken and feedback is being implemented and solutions are being driven and benefits are being realized. So we have a lot of people, Captain. So solution is to get a director of continuous improvement projects. Yep, put that there. Now to help with the technical part of business, which is, let's say, IT, we have decided for every IT problem that we have, we're going to either design a bespoke solution or an off-the-shelf solution. Yeah. So this is what we want. We are planning. These are the work streams we are planning to implement that can solve this problem. So we have decided to bring in a director of programs to implement all of this. So how do we go about it? Remember, what we're looking at is how do we manage change in project management. We know this change This change, we are the one that is initiating this change because of the issues we have currently. What we tend to do is to now implement these changes without disrupting the business. One of the key things that I would like to highlight and has really helped me in my own role is implementing a change without disrupting the current operational business that's happening. That is a very good key. How do you implement a change without disrupting day-to-day activities of the business? If you can figure that out, trust me, you have won the battle 60%. The 40% is just cosmetics. So your planning needs to be well documented. So what we need to do, I'll put this again, new slide. Let's just put here. Number one area I would like to highlight. So if you understand change itself, change is something that you can plan, something that you don't foresee. But this particular case, we've planned it and we want to implement it. So we're in a better place. We're in a better solution. So what do we need to do in terms of implementing this? If I was that director, I'll be looking at stakeholders. Yeah. Now, stakeholders will be, if I go back to the work streams, I'll be looking at, from this work stream, I would want to get the director of resourcing. If that person is not available, I want to get the deputy. The reason is you want to make sure you're recruiting the right person and you have the right JD and you have the right expectation from the resource department. Otherwise, you have a good initiative, but you can't implement it because you don't have stakeholder buy-in. So you get the director of resourcing or the deputy. Now, the second box, which is this box, you get the director of the current strategic lead for operational director who is in charge of the operations. Now you get that person in place, or you get the deputy. Now the reason why you want that person in is because you want to review the processes and you want to make sure you're carrying the current person as in charge of the operations in your planning, in your decision making, in things you want to do. That would enable you succeed because that person can give you information that is critical to ensuring you can review the current processes or even hiring the person that you want to bring in. That's number two. Number three, you need either the director of IT or the assistant. The reason is that person will give you critical information of the current systems that you have and what are the possible future states that you begin to consider. And maybe that person already has solutions of an off-the-shelf solution that don't need to bother yourself. So stakeholders are very key to managing that because the business will be in play and this change will need to be implemented. So we've got that. So let's call that we got 3 people in the stakeholder section. Number 2, you need to now begin to factor what are the cost of implementing this. You look at the cost of the recruiting process. You look at what is the IT solution, or if you need to update the processes, is it moving from manual to a digital solution? What is it that you need to financially prepare for? Now, having that in mind puts you in a very good position to begin to find out how you need to move forward. The next one I will want to talk about is training. Now, remember that you are changing different aspects of the business. Now, to be able to manage that transition process, you need to put together, number 1, a good training model. Number 2, a good a manual or a standard operating procedure that can give anyone an easy understanding of how to use that particular new change that you are implementing. Because without that, that's going to put you in a very funny place. So training is very, very important. Number 2, the next one again, is what are the process of implementing your change? Like I said initially, if you can implement a change without disrupting day-to-day current business activities, you've won the battle 60%. So you look at what is the current condition of the business? How are you going to make those changes without disrupting the business? By working with the 3 different stakeholders and being able to get them to understand the new changes, and managing that will put you in a very good position. Now, some people would want to resist change. This is why I prefer this option. I always would want to run a workshop, several workshops from the beginning to say, okay, cool, this is the change that is coming. These are the areas we're hoping to make these changes. What feedbacks do you guys want to give me? 9 out of 10, if you have good people skills, they will give you their feedback like, you know what, this is not needed, this is a waste of time, or this is very good, I have been complaining about this, thank you, you're bringing this on board. They will give you the necessary information during your workshop to be able to give you a bit of insight of how you navigate the resistance to change time frame that might come up, because it's definitely going to come up. So you have that would then give you information of what the risk or the issues to the change might be. That information is very critical to do that. Now, if you've got this, you've done your risk or issues, you've gotten that, you now need to be able to put it together. Who would be the transition? Who would manage the transition with you? Now, just imagine in this team, the IT team, you have been able to isolate that in the HR department, they have a very bad onboarding system. Their current onboarding system will take them 6 months to get in 10 persons in. So you've said, okay, cool, what do we need to do? Let's bring in a better digital solution that enables the new joiners to scan whatever they need to scan, to fill in the right requirement, and it would reduce that 6 months to 1 month. Now, for you to use that new system, you need to make sure, number one, they're trained. Number two, you need to make sure in the team, somebody is there that's knowledgeable enough more than every other person. I always call that person train the trainer. So I have somebody in the team that is able to support that new development, that new change. Then if the team needs any problem, any issue, if they meet any issue, that person is there to provide the help because it's in that team. Number two, you also need to make sure that your technical support is very, very efficient, like they are on board to help them. So for instance, I always make sure that within the first 4 months of implementing that change, the IT team is basically open to questions, to feedbacks, to queries. Within that time frame, you could cover a lot because that's a new system. People then begin to want to ask questions. Okay, what is happening? Why am I having issues? You can critically capture those particular questions and resolve those issues quickly so that your change is not stopped in the process, because you can implement the system and the system is working, but down the line, 6 months time or 1 year time, they can decommission it. And the reason might be people don't want to use the system because it's not easy, it's clunky. When they've asked for support, nobody was there to help them. So you have to make sure you have a good transition process planned. Yeah. And to ensure all of this is put together, you need to make sure you have a good project plan that states what is happening at what stage. And it's either you are going to start with the resourcing. While you are doing the resourcing, you're looking at recruiting this person, or you are doing this bid and doing that bid. How are you managing the delivery? And how are you going to manage the implementation? So it's two things. The delivery is actually getting the process ready. Implementation or execution is actually using that stuff. So how is your plan showing how that is being done? And the final bit I would just set here would be, how do you communicate to the team while you are doing what you are doing, manage them through that change? If you can get a very good communication plan, it might be a monthly report given to the team, feedbacks from the team, a monthly report given to the stakeholders and say, okay, this is what we need to do, this is where we need to go, and this is how we're going it. Your stakeholder, you might have a program board and there might be up to 10 members. For me, I just highlighted 3 here because they're the 3 critical persons you need there. Again, you can have a sponsor in there who has decided to initiate this project. Let's make it 4. This is the 4 key persons, and you can have other people in the group, like the working group or the steering group. Anyhow you want to form your board that you report to, that looks at the progress and looks at the issues and gives you feedback on the progress of work. So that is very key. So now, just to recap, we've looked at the performance information, we looked at the work stream, now we've looked at how do we implement this effectively. So with that in mind, let's go back to our post to look at this. Now you can see everything I've said has just been in here, but now you now have information of what this means with the example I just stated. So the type of the change, reason for the change, the scope, we looked at the scope, the current state is looking at the current as is, what is happening now, and building that for future state. I've talked about this before in my previous tutorials, which you looked at gap analysis and using the SMART principle. You can look at that video. Now, the concept is, what is it we're trying to achieve? Organizational readiness is just getting the business ready with your communication channel to show, okay, this is what we're doing, and your workshops, very important. The next part is the process changes. What is your process? How are you planning to deliver this change? What process are you going to follow? That's what it refers there. People changes, how do you manage them in that process? You can do that in your workshop to get that understanding. Workshop will cover behavioral changes, information changing, cost of change, the reassessment. All of that can be in your workshop. Now, the approach, you get the right people in the room, trust me, you go far. Resistant to change, they would play the role with you because they understand you're trying to build a process. Number 4, get a very good plan that states all of the areas you want to implement. And make sure you have a good communication plan. Who are you talking to? Again, like I said, training plan, very important. Business system plan. How do you implement the solution without disrupting the current flow of activity? Very important. Resistance plan, you will cover that in your workshop. Transition management, you will cover that in your workshop, because people would know, how do you keep the people them informed if they need any issues, who can they run to, and that has been explained in either your SLA or in your SOP, standard operating procedure, of what they need to do when they're using what you've just implemented. Readiness review, how did you communicate that? Your workshop will be there. Escalation process in your stakeholder management, your board meetings reporting, that will be used there. Now, KPIs are different understanding, because now you are going to set up a new KPIs based on performance. The old performance is what we have there, which I just showed you in the previous slide in PowerPoint. Now you're going to set new KPIs to drive the new changes so that you can realize the benefits. Because if there's no key performance indicators, there will be no way they're going to utilize what you've implemented to derive the right benefits. And in our case, the benefit we want to see in Photizo, considering all the issues we have, we want to see a better customer retention. We want to see a better marketing system. We want to see a better rise in our fee. We want to see our staffs working comfortably and happy to work for us. We want to make sure the organization is taking on new projects because we have enough resource capacity is there. We want to make sure that we're looking at the organizational flow of activities and processes and tools that are all effective. That for us is our end goal benefit. And that will only be realized if we set up a new KPIs, and that will drive that. Okay, guys, you can take a read of more stuff, how you want to learn more of this, and we'll talk more about this again more in our next session in another topic. Okay, let's go to the next one.